you're at home. You cannot go down in a sweep at home. And they did what they needed to do. Like, yeah, you could say as well that, Boston was out Kristaps, but you got to do what you got to do. And honestly, well, maybe I'll save this for a little bit later, maybe a little bit of a prediction or potentially a spoiler. We'll find out. But no, like you handled business, and now, the momentum, it's a slight swing because it is a blowout. Maybe it'd be one thing if this was a close game. You just be like, oh yeah, Boston just needs Kristaps, and they're gonna win this one easy. But the fact that it is a blowout, the fact that Luka and Kyrie had some good games, but it wasn't fantastic. You were getting a lot of team involvement as well. I think that's a big thing as well. Like, it seemed like everybody was feasting, not just their two primary stars. Yeah. And going into Game 5 at Boston, if you can find a way to sneak a W on the road like that, come back to Dallas, now you potentially have a series, and you've got potentially history in the making.
Yeah. You know what was interesting about that game? That game yesterday, it was the first time that Dallas actually played like they did in the playoffs prior to this.
Yeah.
They were playing defense. The defense was locking people down for once. And that was like one of their big things when they made the trades and stuff. They got defensive players. And finally, they were shutting people down finally. I didn't understand what was going on the first 3 games of that series. They just did not look like the same team at all. And that is absolute props to Boston. Boston Celtics are an absolutely amazing team this year. They set numbers that's never been done, and it is no disrespect to Boston at all. But Dallas wasn't playing the way they've been playing in the playoffs at all. I don't know what was going on. I would say it was jitters, but Luka's been a pro since he was like 13 or 14 years old. Kyrie's won a championship before. They just could not get things going. So for once, it looked like they were actually playing as a team. The team looked fired up. Now that happens whenever you're, facing elimination. That brings the best out of people sometimes, or you fold. But that team finally looked like a team that actually deserved to be in the finals. George, you were laughing earlier. What you got, man?
Bro, let me start off by saying that it's always fuck Boston. It's never, yeah, Boston, this and that. No, it's always fuck Boston. I hate the fact that they're about to win the championship, but it is what it is. But we got to look at the facts here, guys. And the facts are Boston shot 29 for 80. Boston went 3 games straight where they had amazing offense, and they done that really all playoffs long. They haven't slowed down. So they finally have a game that's a bad game, right? You got Jaylen Brown went through for 3 for 12 in field goals, 1 for 5 in threes. Jason Tatum went 4 for 10 in field goals, 1 for 4 in threes, even though he's been having a shooting slump throughout the whole series, really.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday went 4 for 10. Derek White went 2 for 8. Dude, these guys had a horrible night. So for the Dallas Mavericks, they need to hope that the Boston Celtics will have a shit night like this every single night for the rest of the series, because I don't believe that's going to happen ever again. I don't think the Celtics will miss like this ever again. And that is really, in my opinion, that's really why the Dallas Mavericks won, because you look at the scores, right? Kyrie and Luka 29, Kyrie 20.
Kyrie had 21.
They got to do that. And even then, they've been doing that for really the whole series, except for Kyrie. But Luka has been playing like that. So there really wasn't anything different that the Mavericks did differently. It was just because the Boston Celtics had a horrible night. Shoot.
So I'll go with you on the Boston Celtics had a horrible night. You could also say the same thing about Dallas in the first game, though, too. Dallas played absolutely abysmal. That was the worst I've almost ever seen them play. So you can almost use the same argument that they each had their one game that they played like shit, honestly. So we'll go with that. But the biggest difference is it wasn't the stars, it was the other stars. And I guess you can't even call them really stars, but the role players finally stepped up. Gafford was catching alley-oops. The alley-oop was back. That was the 5th alley-oop in that series. In the entire series, I think they actually
only had 7 points.
Yeah, but those 7 points, it was not just 7 points. It was the defense. It was the block shots. It was the intensity they were all playing with. They were all on the same page. That's the first time the team has played as a team the entire time. It's also the first game Dallas, who is, I think they were number 5 in the league in scoring, scored over 100 points in the entire series. So for once, Dallas had their game that they actually played right. Now, I am a Dallas Mavericks fan, so I am a little bit more on the bandwagon. I'm not going crazy. I'm not going crazy with this stuff. Boston had an off night. It happens.
Yes, and this is why I don't think that Dallas did anything differently, because like we've alluded to all series long, right? We know Kyrie and Luka are going to show up. Where is everybody else?
I mean, that you can't even say that though, because Kyrie has played like shit the whole game, the whole series as well. He had one.
Well, the first two games.
Game 3, he had a lot of points, but he had turnovers, which is unlike Kyrie.
Yeah, but that's because Boston plays great defense, and Kyrie's got to be more involved with the ball in his hands if Luka is not involved, and it's gonna happen. You're gonna get turnovers. It's gonna happen, especially playing against a great defense. But let's look at everybody else right now, right? PJ Washington, 6 points. Derrick Jones Jr., 5 points. Daniel Gafford, 7 points. The first 3 guys off the bench, 8 points. The only
don't forget about Tim Hardaway Jr., baby.
Tim Hardaway Jr. had those points in garbage time. Garbage time.
Yeah, it was total garbage time.
Dude,